Well, hello everyone. My name is Dar Rath and I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. And each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. Some of them are funny and some of them give you something to think about. And so this story this week is written by a man by the name of Bob Perks. There was once a man named Bob Perks who worked for the federal government. His job was to collect information from regular people to learn about their everyday lives and their community. It was the kind of job where most people simply slammed the door in his face when he would introduce himself. Then one day, he knocked at the door of a home of a couple I'll call Joe and Mary. When Bob knocked on their door, Mary opened it. When Bob explained why he had come to the home, she opened it and welcomed him. She brought him a glass of water on that hot day. Bob noted that the house was in a valley where people with small incomes lived. Though the house was little, it looked very warm and cozy and comfortable. Almost immediately, Joe came into the house from work. Joe greeted his wife with a kiss and said, "I love you," very quietly. Bob knew immediately that this couple was richer than most people he knew. When Mary explained that Bob was asking about people's lives and their community, Bob asked Joe what kind of work he did. Oh, Mary jumped right in and said, "Oh, Joe works for the city. Joe collects garbage. In fact, he is the best garbage man in the city. He can stack more garbage on the truck than anyone else. He gets so much into one truck that they don't have to make runs." Joe replied, "In the long run, I save the city money doing my job my way." Bob was very impressed. He replied, "That's incredible. Most people would gripe about having a job like that. Your attitude is amazing." Well, Mary immediately said, "When we had our third child, Joe lost his job. We were on unemployment for a time and then on welfare. He couldn't find a job for a long time, and then one day he came home depressed and ashamed. He told me the only job he could find was as a garbage man." Mary continued, "I've always been proud of him, and I always will be. You see, I don't think the job makes the man. I believe the man makes the job." When we moved into this house, there was a beautiful quote hanging on the wall just inside the front door. The quote, which was by Martin Luther King, said, "If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep the streets even as Michelangelo painted or Beethoven composed music or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, 'Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well.'" Mary ended the interview by saying, "I love Joe for who he is. What he does the best. I love my garbage man." Now this is a beautiful story. Robert Coos says, "Humility is a virtue that has often been defined as knowing one's place in the world and taking it. As a virtue, it requires practice. Knowing one's place also requires us to be grateful for what we have, not constantly longing for what we don't have." So, as we go along this week, it would be really good to think about ourselves and are we acting arrogant or pretentious or egocentric? It's a good thing to engage in humility for sure. So, I hope you found this story interesting. I did as well. I found it quite inspiring actually. And so blessings on your day, and thanks so much for taking 5. I'll see you next week.